Roanoke native and resident Mark Powell is a community activist in southeast Roanoke City and is frequently spotted at neighborhood events there and in other parts of town. He's tried his hand at managing local political campaigns, but is best known for his work as director and founder of the Roanoke Community Garden Association, which is working to install plots of land around the city where local residents can grow fruits and vegetables. Powell has also worked to create community markets, is a founding member of the Nazarene Neighborhood Watch, a member of the Roanoke City Police Department's Civilian Advisory Panel, and the house captain for Rebuilding Together, which renovates older homes. Making Roanoke a better place to live for residents of all economic and social stations is always at the top of Mark Powell's to-do list. Mark Powell, welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Gene.
What turned you into an activist of sorts, someone who wants to make Roanoke a better place to live for all residents?
Well, I'm from Roanoke and grew up in and around southeast Roanoke. And
where you still are?
Where I still am,
right.
Living there. And when I came back home to Roanoke a few years ago and settled down, I started looking around the community and seeing where things may be improved and started to get connected socially. Mm-hmm. My wife is also a big advocate for the community as well. Mm-hmm. And she's not from Roanoke, she's actually from Eastern Europe, from Lithuania. And it's been nice to introduce her to my hometown and get her connected as well.
Southeast Roanoke City, you sort of see that as sort of maybe an undiscovered jewel or a rising quadrant of the city. Mm-hmm. Having the Greenway go through Southeast can't hurt. What's your take on where Southeast is headed?
Well, we chose to resettle there because it's so close to downtown. It's so connected to downtown life. You're right about the river and the Greenway. There's a great potential there for economic development and
affordable real estate.
Affordable real estate, good housing stock, and some industrial area as well that can be revamped and mm-hmm. reutilized.
Mm-hmm. You're probably best known, Mark, for your work with the Roanoke Community Garden Association, which mm-hmm. you're the director and founder of.
That's right.
And you guys just cut the ribbon on your second community garden, mm-hmm. I believe, in the Hurt Park community. Talk about all the planning that went into that. I know you got some federal money and some money from the Foundation for the Roanoke Valley for that mm-hmm. also.
Yeah, we started off about three and a half years ago just with the idea of my wife and I doing some gardening and then wanting to do this gardening with other folks. And this idea has spiraled into a nonprofit organization. We started the 14th Street Community Garden, which is named after a local landowner.
In Southeast?
In Southeast, right. 3 years ago. Broke ground on it in 2009. And this is the third year that we're harvesting food out of that garden. It has 36 plots, and it also incorporates a youth garden and a pantry garden. We're working on the Hurt Park Community Garden now on Salem Avenue. Mm-hmm. That garden will have somewhere between 40 and 50 plots. 20 families are already registered there, so about 80 families or 80 people are gardening there. Mm-hmm. And there's a youth garden that'll be kicking off this week in partnership with Virginia Cooperative Extension and the West End Center for Youth.
And I know you'd like to build a greenhouse at some point, correct?
A greenhouse is in our comprehensive plan for that garden. Mm-hmm. A greenhouse and also a large shelter, a picnic pavilion that'll be collecting all of our rainwater for that site.
And how many of these gardens, I know eventually, Mark, you'd like to have a bunch of these community gardens in there.
Mm-hmm. The two that are established now will be serving close to 400 people by year's end. And our mission is to develop a network of organic community gardens throughout the Roanoke region.
And you talk about some of the benefits, of course, besides growing your own fresh fruits and vegetables. What are the social benefits, Mark? Mm-hmm. And this is something, when you sent me some information, that there's a large social aspect to having these community gardens.
Yeah, there sure is. At first glance, we're growing food, that's for sure. There's a great abundance of food being grown there. But there are also a lot of tangible social benefits as well. Crime tends to decrease in areas where community gardens are established. Neighbors are getting together where they might not have gotten together before through neighborhood groups. Different ethnic backgrounds are getting together. For instance, in just these two community gardens, we have folks from Eastern Africa, we have folks from Burma, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Central and South America.
So they're big mixers, huh?
Oh yeah, tremendous mixers, and also of different age groups as well. Our gardeners range in age from 2 to 70 plus.
Mm-hmm. I know Mayor David Bowers was at the ribbon cutting for Hurt Park. Has the city been supportive in any way of these efforts, community gardens?
Yeah, Mayor Bowers has been a supporter of the garden group since the beginning. He was one of the the first folks that sent in a registration form. Although he doesn't actively garden, he's an ad hoc.
He delegates.
Member. He delegates. Yeah,
I could see that.
The mayor needs to start gardening though. He lives on the side of Mill Mountain in the shade, poor topography, and that's an issue with a lot of Roanokeers not having space.
Not a lot of flat places to farm, right?
But the city of Roanoke has been supportive in providing the RCGA funding through HUD CDBG funding, which Roanoke receives annually, and leadership from Roanoke's come out to support the gardens.
Just a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you about a couple of things. You've been on Chief Chris Perkins's Citizens Advisory Panel for Roanoke City Police Department. How is Chief Perkins doing at this point related to the community?
I think he's doing quite well, and I've heard that not only from the community members, but also from sergeants and lieutenants working under Chief Perkins. He seems to really be taking a great leap forward in making community connections.
I know one thing I wanted to bring up, you were involved, you've been involved with a couple of political campaigns. You got involved with Martin Jeffries' rather contentious primary campaign against Ansley Ware, Delegate Ansley Ware. Do you see yourself maybe getting involved in politics in the future, maybe even as a candidate yourself? That's something you ever thought about?
Well, not necessarily. I think one of the largest things I'm going to be involved in is my neighborhood. But I'll certainly stay engaged in the political process and encourage others to be involved in it as well. I wouldn't rule out running at some point. I feel like we need to have people coming out of the neighborhoods and being a part of the political process.
I know you're involved with these. Is it the Nazarene Neighborhood Watch? How important are neighborhood watches, Mark, and how beneficial is it for people to get involved with the Neighborhood Watch?
They're great, like the gardens, they're great social connectors, the neighborhood organizations as well. Roanoke has 49 established neighborhoods here in the city, and we've shown that crime has decreased since we've started that Neighborhood Watch, and there's no doubt it'll continue to do so as long as we stick together and partner with code enforcement and police to help solve social problems and crime.
Got about a minute left, but what's the best thing when you talk to people from outside of Roanoke, Mark, as a native Roanoke, what's the best thing you can tell them about living in Roanoke and maybe where the city's going?
Well, I guess I could tell them that maybe 10 years ago, I don't think people in Roanoke had the same sense of, they didn't have the same swagger about where the city might be going. I think a lot of people in Roanoke are eager to continue to push the city forward. We're seeing a lot of great things. The Greenway you mentioned, the community garden effort, the arts effort downtown, the expansion of downtown. There's a lot of great things happening in Roanoke. I think we need some more economic development, but Roanoke's heading in great directions.
Mark Powell, Southeast Roanoke City community activist. Mark, thanks for joining us on the interview.
Thank you, Gene.
Our guests today have been Dr. James Sears from Center in the Square and community activist Mark Powell. I'm Gene Marrano. You can look for me in the Roanoke Star-Sentinel, Valley Business Front, and in Play by Play magazine. And don't forget, you can watch segments of the interview on YouTube. Just search by my name. Until next time, take care.